Time for the top story now here on France 24. US President Barack Obama has made a dramatic appeal to Americans to press Republicans to compromise on a debt deal. The US President warned in a primetime televised speech that a default would risk a deep economic crisis. The impasse in these debt talks taking its toll on already jittery markets, with the dollar plunging overnight to a 4-month low in Tokyo. Joining me now here on the set, our international affairs editor, Annette Young. Annette, going to ongoing impasse, really, sending stock markets into decline while gold prices soar. Are we any closer, do you think, to a solution, given the fact, of course, that deadline just a week away now?
Well, the irony is, Stuart, that a week ago, actually, the two sides were much closer than they were today. And what
Not a good start.
Not a good start indeed. And, of course, this was before the details of this compromise deal got leaked to both parties, and the opponents within both parties sort of yelled out very loudly, and as a result they went back to square one. Now, yesterday was a day of sort of legislative chess moves, back-to-back party caucuses, closed-door meetings, which ended, of course, with that nationally televised presidential speech by Obama and a rebuttal by the House Speaker and Republican John Boehner. Now, House and Senate leaders still say that votes could occur as early as Wednesday, but the clock is very much ticking, which is why the President did what he did. He went on primetime TV. He urged people to get in touch with their lawmakers. So many people did, as our Washington correspondent pointed out earlier, that as a result, a number of computer servers across the country started crashing. But even as he sought to set up Republicans as the people to blame for this crisis, he still tried to reassure people that some sort of solution would be reached. Having said that, a lot of it was finger-pointing at the Republicans, who, of course, are demanding deeper spending cuts without tax hikes for the wealthy. So let's take a listen to what the President had to say.
The first approach says, let's live within our means by making serious, historic cuts in government spending. Let's ask the wealthiest Americans and biggest corporations to give up some of their breaks in the tax code and special deductions.
But Stuart, this impasse has really set the tone for next year's presidential elections, and showing that the two parties' visions for what needs to be done are very much at odds. At this point, what I'd like to do is bring in Dr. Paul Vallée, who's a specialist in American politics at Sciences Po here in Paris. Dr. Vallée, thanks for joining us. This seems to be a disconnect between the politicians and lawmakers, doesn't it? And while lawmakers haggle, the markets are getting more and more jittery. It seems like these lawmakers seem completely unaware of the economic impact of this delay.
Yes, that's true. It's really quite astounding because I've just returned from 6 months in the United States. So this story has been top of the news, the number one issue for the entire spring. And we are now in the middle of summer, and it is still not resolved, and going towards really quite almost unthinkable two different scenarios. Either a selective default of the U.S. government if no agreement is found maybe as early as 3rd August, or loss by the United States of its AAA rating at the rating agencies.
And
so that's unheard of.
And Dr. Vallée, it's not just, is it, the case of Republicans versus Democrats. There's also a lot of infighting going on within the Republican Party itself, too.
Indeed, and so here we're also seeing the long-term consequence of the elections of last November, because, of course, by putting in the House of Representatives a very strong faction of people who are leaning towards the Tea Party or the Tea Party voters who are fiscal and budget hawks, this has made any kind of congressional compromise or compromise with the White House even more difficult. And a contact I was speaking to in the White House just over the weekend was saying that for the moment they had very little idea to predict whether they would be able to reach an agreement or not, or how long it might take. And this is the speculation which is fueling that much uncertainty.
Dr. Vallée, even if a solution is reached, what is going to be the economic fallout of all this? Are we still going to have a situation where the credit rating of the United States indeed could still be downgraded?
Well, the situation is indeed looking exceptionally grave because we're looking already at, of course, a $14,300 billion debt ceiling that has been reached in May. The president, of course, wants to increase that, so it gives him a little margin of a maneuver to try some stimuli measures, whatever's left in the arsenal, to keep the jobless rate from rising. And of course, a downturn in the American economy is disastrous for the whole world, and the repercussions will be felt in Europe and in Asia immediately and elsewhere as well. But the president, of course, has to get himself reelected next year, so he has to do everything he can to keep the jobless rate down, and to do that, he absolutely does need the debt ceiling to go up. But of course, after that, the debt problem is, of course, still there, and will be there for years to come.
Dr. Vallée, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there,
Yep.
and thanks for that. As you can see, Stuart, this is clearly becoming a crisis situation for President Obama to deal with.
All right, Annette, thank you very much. That's today's top story here on France 24.